Recording. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So this will be our last session for Flutter training. So today, what I will do, inshallah, I will show you some of the features of Flutter or some of the resources of Flutter that you would need to study more if you want to develop for production apps. So this course has been like like a crash program. We have covered many materials, but to develop production apps, what we have covered will give you a starting position, but it will not be like enough. What I can say, it's not enough because it's an introduction. So you can develop apps, you can run them, you can add features, all of these things you can do, but some other features that you need to know to develop like comprehensive or production apps. So I have at least 7 issues to discuss today. So most of them will be like guiding you to what to do next, inshallah. So let me share my screen. Okay. So we will go back again to flutter.dev. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So as I have told you several times, and we came to this website many times actually during our training, that to know all the resources about Flutter, the first reference is flutter.dev. You should come to this website to see what are the new features they have added, and especially you can you can go to showcase to know like the different apps people have developed, like BMW has developed something. So they have different examples of what can be developed by Flutter. Like Google Pay itself is developed by Flutter. Google has developed Google Pay with Flutter. And you can see there are many examples. Some of them are very well-known companies who are using Flutter. Actually, when I was like at the beginning, I was using Flutter, there wasn't many company here. So it's good to go through some of these examples to know what kind of interfaces they have developed and what is possible by Flutter. So to develop beautiful applications, beautiful UI, actually you need a UI designer, UX designer, unless you yourself is one of them. So just knowing Flutter is not enough to come up with design ideas and other things. So you need some ideas from UX designer, user experience design, UI design, and then you can code those design by Flutter to develop beautiful apps. So there are so many. Even Toyota has joined, and so on. So it's good to see them. So we'll go to docs. So the first thing that we have in our list today is the widgets. We have seen several widgets in this training. For example, containers, buttons, icon buttons, rows, columns. Okay, we have seen many of them, but still there are many other widgets that you should know about them and you should use them. And you should go through widget catalog to know about different widgets. Okay, some of them that I have discussed, others I haven't discussed. For example, one of the important widget is like during layout, there is something called a container. We have seen center, how to center. We have seen expanded. There is also fitted box. Fitted box is if you want to fit a particular box of particular size. Intrinsic height, intrinsic width is also sometimes needed if you want to show according to like sizing according to the child size. This one also I have used. So go through them. Padding we have seen, size box we have seen, transform we didn't use, but this sometimes it's useful. There is a very important which is called list. So list view. List view is one of the very important kind of widget that you should know, and in many examples actually you will use list view. List view is a like a list of widgets. List view is an array, but an array of widgets. So you can call list view and give him a list of widgets, and you can show the widgets in a like a scroll. So for example if you are using like infinite scroll, so the elements will come as a list. Okay, page view is also a very very useful widget. So for example, in the Quran app, the Quran pages that you browse from left to right, right to left, you browse, that is shown by using page view. The name itself tells like it's a page, like a book pages. The way you show the books, you go through the pages. So page view is one of the uh, popular widgets. It's a very very useful widget. You should know about them, know about it. And in our Quran app, we have used page view to show the Quran pages, the images one by one. By swiping left or right, you can move through the previous or next pages. So this is by using page view, and this is one of the widget of the week. So as I mentioned before, try to see these videos. Flutter widget of the week. They talk about different widgets. They show how to code them in a like 2 or 3 minutes of video, but they are very nice, very useful. Okay. Single cell scroll view we have seen. This is for adding a scroll bar. Scroll something that doesn't fit in the window of the screen. You can use this thing. Okay. In painting and effect, these are also very useful, but sometimes these are advanced. Like some specific work you need them. Like for example, if you want to draw something on top of an image, like you want to, well, for example, in our Quran app, what we did is when you touch the mushaf, we highlight the ayah, we highlight the word. These things, to do these things, you need something called custom paint. Like it's like a painting, like the Microsoft Painter we have in the Windows. Like you can paint on top of any object or on top of any image. So Flutter provides something called a custom paint, and you can paint on top of any image or any widget. You can put colors, whatever you can do. Actually, you can control every pixel of the screen by drawing custom shape or custom coloring, anything. Actually few years before, Flutter launched a competition in collaboration with Lenovo. Lenovo was making like a smart tab, and they wanted to design a clock, like a smart tab, like we have like Alexa, like something like this, but it's with a screen. So they wanted to develop for their tab, smart tab, like a clock, and they wanted to do through a competition. So Flutter and Lenovo arranged a competition, and the code were all open source. So even those who won the prizes, their code was available in GitHub. And you could not believe, if you see, you could not believe that by using Flutter and custom paint, people can like make those things. Like it's, it was like some of the work was really unbelievable. The amount of things they have done, it was very very amazing. But anyway, these are like specific. Like so if you need it, you need it. But it's good to know about them. Okay. Text is one of the most common one, and you should know about them. We have used text. There is another one is called a rich text. What is the difference between text and rich text? The rich text provides you like copying the text. Normally, if you show a text by Flutter, you cannot copy paste. You cannot do these things. You cannot copy the text. It's like just a view. But if you want, like people will touch the text, they can select it. They can select whole or part, one word or part of a word. Then you have to use something called rich text. Okay, so please go through these widgets and try to know what Flutter is providing. With every new updates, especially major updates, Flutter provides new widgets. They provide new widgets. One of the very useful set of widgets is for animation. So animation we haven't covered at all in this course, because for beginners development, we don't need animation. But to attract user, to give them some fun, okay, yes, you need to use animation. Some animations are very simple, like animated container. We have used it. This is like different way of fading any widgets and so on. Animate opacity is like how it will come and go. So try to go through them. All of them are very easy to use, and they provide a lot of like animations. Some of them are customizable, and they look great if you can use them properly, actually, not overuse. So for animation, you should be careful, because animation is expensive. If you do too much animation on the screen or your widgets, it may slow down the app. So you should use animation, but only those which are necessary, and like with cautions. Not everything should be animated, and not also it's not needed to make everything in animation. So this is a quick discussion about the different widgets that we have. Some of them we have covered, some of them we haven't. But as a programmer, as a developer, it's your duty to know the different list of widgets we have, especially whenever you need to do something which is new. Before you do the coding, just search it. Just search it. Sometimes the code is not part of the flutter.dev, but you will find code in GitHub or some packages. They do it. There are many widgets, custom widgets, which are part of pub.dev, not with flutter.dev, because that is third party. These are all from Flutter team. The Flutter team, they give you as part of the Flutter download. But there are many other widgets which you will find in pub.dev as part of the packages. So before you code any widget, any UI, and particular UI, search it. Search it in Google, and in many cases, you may find something to save your time. So this is one thing. So actually, this is two things: animations and different widgets. So okay, the next topic for us today is like any useful application will need database. Okay, any useful application will need database. So database in Flutter apps can be two ways. One way is you use local database, where the app creates a database in user's phone. This is one way. Or you get the data through APIs from your backend server. So you may have a backend server where the database resides, and you can get all the data from the backend database and show them. Like for example, like Amazon. If you use Amazon app, and if you don't have internet connection, it will not show you anything. It will not show you the products and everything, because the whole app, especially the products part, they are downloaded from the server. This is one thing. But for some other applications, for example the Quran applications, where the images, the audios, they need to be downloaded and stored in users phone, and some of the issues, some of the data should be part of the local database, like the surah names and other things. So for this purpose you should use local database. Okay, so if you want to use backend database, there are like several options. You can use any standard practices which are already available for web servers and anything. Just you need the appropriate endpoint, and there are packages like HTTP. You can use HTTP query to get data from the server. Okay, you can get it in JSON format, convert it into your suitable format. There are packages also. There are like supports from the Flutter itself to work with JSON. So go through this documentation to understand like how you use backend. And one of the popular backend database is Firebase. Okay, you don't need to use Firebase, like you don't have to use Firebase, but this is from the Google also. So whenever they discuss about backend database, they talk about Firebase, and definitely it's not free. So all the cloud services provided by Google is like for some unit of usage it's free. For some units of usage it's free, but if you cross the limit or cross the certain amount of transactions, then they charge based on each transaction. Okay, it's a small amount, but if you have a lot of users, then it will charge a lot. So it's a like administrative question, like should we use Firebase, or should we use our own customers database, or should we buy a web server where we will host our own server and database and so on. So you need to work with backend programmers. I am not a backend programmer, so I don't know much about backend. All I care about is they provide me like proper endpoints, so I can query and get my data and do my work. But this is a big area. Like for example, if you want to authenticate username and password authentication, you can do it through Firebase. If you want, for example, to uh, send notification, called push notification, which is very important for app development. Push notification, there are third party services to get push notification. Do you understand what is push notification? Like sometimes in your app just comes messages from the company that this is a new offer, this is something new. So they send it, and there is a pop-up on your screen. So that's called push notification. There is another notification called local notification. That for that there is package. You don't need internet to show local notification. We have used it in our apps. But push notification, you need third party services. like who will send the notification to every installed phone, and definitely there is a service charge for that. So it's a big area, and a lot of details are there, like depending upon the service. For example, if you want to uh, use, for example, YouTube, you want to know the YouTube channel data, like you want to make your own app, and you have a YouTube channel and you want to make an app for that. So how to know the content of the channel, how can you get them? So you can get it through Firebase, so on. So there are a lot of things. uh, so this is itself is a big area about backend database. Okay, this is one thing. But if you don't need to access backend database, all you need is some local database. Then no need to go to Firebase. There is something called SQF Lite. So for that, I don't think they have here. They have here. So we will go to pub.dev. So SQF Lite is like the plugin for SQL database, but at the local level. Local level means you can store this database in the user's machine. So you can either create the database on the fly, or you can create empty database, put it as part of your assets, and then copy it to user's uh, phone when he installs, and then you can access. So it's a very useful thing to know. But if you are developing for web, look at the SKF Lite. It's very useful. It's one of the Flutter favorites because it's a very useful package. But you can see here it only supports Android, iOS, and macOS. It doesn't support web, and maybe in future it may support Windows, maybe. So for as I said, for Linux, Windows, Dart virtual machine, use another package, SKF Lite Common FFI. This is another package they are suggesting, and for web it is not supported. So if you are also if you are developing also for web, then there is no way but to use backend database. Because the user will not download database to see one of your pages, right? So if every page, to see every page, user has to download the whole database, then it's not useful at all. So if you are developing for web, no, you have to use backend database. But if you are developing for mobile phones, okay, yes, you can use this SQL database, and it's actually very, very useful. And they provide almost all the different ways of query, like insert, reading from the database, update, create table, update table, all these SQL. And they use the language of SQL. I guess most of you are from computer science or computer engineering background, and you have taken a course on database. So it's a relational database package, and you can query, you can insert, you can update, delete, like the common operations with the query. So with using SQL language format. So it's very useful, but it needs some time to make it running. So it has a few number of steps. So they have written here how to open the database something. So the file finishes with .db. So one of the useful software, because at the beginning, how you will create the database, you want to put the database as part of your app. So how can you create that database, create, insert what we say, the tables, the initial ones? How do you do that? So there is a, like a very good and efficient tool or software available for Windows and also for Mac, which is called DB browser. So database browser for SQL, SQLite. So this is the tool, DB browser. So you can download it for Windows or Mac, no problem. It's available, and it's actually popular, a good one. And you can create new database, you can open existing one. And like for example, if I open one of our databases, for example, let's see what we have. So this is one of the database that we are using in one of the apps. So you can see there are a lot of tables here that we created. So either you create a new one, or you can import an existing one from here, from import. You can import database from SQL file. Like sometimes there are text file which defines the whole database structure. You can build database from there. You can insert table from CSV file. You can export database or tables as CSV or JSON. So these operations are very useful. For example, you have the data in Excel. Someone gave you data in Excel. How can you put it in the database? Okay, so the easiest one is to import. Save your data as a CSV file, and if it has like Arabic characters or something, save it as Unicode files, and then import from here. So this is a good one. This is a good software for working with local database. So you can try it. So this is a very important package. Please take a note of it. So this is one of the topics for today. Okay. So we talked about SQLite. We talked about Firebase quickly. Okay. Any questions so far? Anything? Any concern or any comments?
No, very clear.
Okay. What about Khalid?
Yes. Is SQLite used by different mobile languages
Yes, true.
or just for Flutter?
No. The actually that's the plugin, but the database can be used in other platforms. No problem. That's a common format.
Is it the best one?
Okay, that there is there is a, you can say, debate. There is debate like which one is the best one, but to serve the purpose, it's okay. If the database is relational database, like in a tabular form, then this one is good. This one is for relational database. That means the data should be in a format of tables. But sometimes the data are not in the form of tables. Then there are like different solutions. I haven't worked with them, but I just have a basic idea that there are. So if your data is not like relational, non-structured, then yes, then you have to use other solutions. But for uh, maybe majority of the cases, okay, this will serve the purpose, and it's quite fast because we have developed search on almost a million items, and it does it in like a split of a second. Within millisecond it gets the results so fast. So it's efficient, it's not like manual searching. I don't know how they made it so fast, but it's good because we do the Quran search directly using the search functionalities in SQL, and it works very quick.
Yes, I think performance is the top priority.
Sorry.
I think performance is the top priority in the
Oh
development.
yes, true. So we'll talk about performance today, just to give you an introduction to performance, inshallah. Any other question? Okay. If there is no other question, we will continue our discussion to show you the useful things. Okay. So we said that we talked about different widgets, and we said, okay, you should go through the catalog list of widgets to know about what widgets are available for Flutter. We talked about database, backend database, either through internet or through local database you can do, and there are packages for that. Firebase is one of them, but you don't need to use it. You can use other databases. Depends on the load, because if you have a million users, then using your own web server may be not effective. It may crash. But Firebase and other things, they are like highly scalable. Even if there are a billion hit in an hour, they will survive. So it depends on the like the like the budget you have. Okay. Another very important concept in Flutter, especially as I mentioned yesterday, that some of the code that we wrote was ugly because we haven't followed some of the standard principles for good programming. And one of the standard or recommended way of programming is to use one of the state management technique. State management. So they have actually very good discussion about state management. Let me search it. Okay, here it is. Okay. So it's a lengthy topic. We need at least a couple of sessions to have basic understanding of state management. So I will just give you an introduction, and you may continue yourself to know more about this. So state management is something that is recommended. It's not a must. Recommended because when your code becomes bigger, the app becomes bigger, you need to make sure that you can manage the code so that when new features are added, you are not lost. So rearranging the code is very important. And the idea of state management is the UI and the business logic or your algorithms should be separated, so that one programmer can work with, for example, on developing the UI, another programmer can work on developing the business logic. And there are several ways of doing this state management. So if you go to the different approaches, the list of state management approaches, so you can, as you can see here, there are several. Okay, so you should, if you want to read, first go through introduction to state management, the first image that not first page that we have seen, and then to know how to use state management, you need to go through one of them. So the first one, provider, is the one which Flutter recommends. It's actually quite simple to use. Once you know, you need to actually like modify some places of the code to use provider. It looks at the beginning may look complicated, but if you read the example that they provided, then it might become very easier. So you need to actually go through them step by step, and then it will be clear. It's actually like a lengthy topic. You need to be like careful in understanding the concept. So provider uses something called change notifier. So it's like you register your app changes to another class which has the business logic, and whenever you ask him to refresh, he will refresh the UI. Like anytime there is a change, you notify the UI to update from the business logic. For example, you are processing a user request. So the UI takes the input, sends it to the business logic. Business logic does whatever he does, finishes the computation, and at the end, he needs to refresh the UI. So he calls or uses something called change notifier, and it has a function called notify listeners. Notify listeners, like as you can see here, and it will refresh the UI instead of writing set state. Set state is also a state management, but that's the easiest one and doesn't have like any structure. You have to call it from the stateful widget after you finish the logic. But the goal of state management is to remove that logic from that stateful widget into another class, so that the code becomes separated. The UI is in one side and the code is another side. So provider is one of them. Riverpod is also a popular one, and these ones came from like from other programming languages. They have added other state management so that people familiar with state management in Java, they can come and easily use the same concept. Or people are working in iOS, they come and use the same concept. So there are other packages which are actually based on sometimes third party, and sometimes because of legacy. Legacy means there are many programmers who are already using some kind of structure, so they provided the same structure in Flutter. So Riverpod is one. Set state is the one everyone uses. This is the most basic one, but it's a low level approach for widget specific. So we have seen it already and we have used it. There is other like inherited widget, inherited model. Okay, there are videos, if you want you can see. Redux is also a very popular one. It came from web development, right? Web developer, a familiar approach for many of web developers. So if you are familiar with Redux in web, maybe easy to use it here. There are others. One of them is called, see, they have added many. Actually, it's not must that you have used one of them. You can make your own one, like block. Block is also one of the very powerful state management, but it's much more complex than provided, much more complex. And sometimes you feel lost, like how they are managing things. So, but the more complex one means it provides you more like control, more control. So to start with, you can go, actually you can use provider. It's a simple and it's a recommended approach. It's simple one and it is recommended by Flutter. But if you already know some of them, already know from you, because you are from from another platform, you came here, so they have added a lot. Actually, last time I saw, I didn't see so many, and I haven't used all of them. I haven't used all of them. Mainly I have used provider. I have just have an overview of riverpod. Set state is the most common one and everyone uses, and also the block I have used. In the Sura app we are using provider and our in some cases our own way of managing code. Not necessarily this one will solve the issue. In some cases it didn't solve, so we used our own way of solving the problem. Any question from here?
Dr.
Because
Tanwir, I have a
yes,
question.
yes,
I still don't understand the definition of state management. Could you explain it more generally?
okay. In our code, what we did, we we use stateful widgets. Okay, we use stateful widgets, and in the stateful widgets it is called stateful because it has states. What is state? State means the values of the variables, you can say, is a very raw term. We can say values of the variable. For example, the user is, for example, in this example, you can see he is selecting some of the items and putting in the cart. Okay, so there is a list of items. He is clicking it and putting it in the cart. So that means the app needs to remember this state, which item he has selected, which item he has put in the cart, and so on. So this information during the runtime is called the state. You are saving it in the variables. Now, saving the values is not enough. You need to process them, right? For example, you put in the cart, you need to process the cart and send the confirmation to the seller that he has paid and it's done. So those operations that once he said like pay or submit or confirm, then you need to take the state and call some business logic which may access the backend database, authenticate, ask for more information, and complete the process. So the concept of state management is this app level state, how you can separate it from the logic, business logic, how you can manage the state, how do you pass states between screens. It may happen that you take the information from one screen, pass it to the another screen. It may happen that some information are stored globally. So how do you access them? And so on. And even and even if this is not clear, just remember that what we want to do is we want to separate the logic processing of data, the algorithms from our UI. If you use only set state, you cannot separate them. It's difficult to separate because the set state call should be from inside the widget. But we want to separate this decision. We want to separate decision. We want to remove the code outside the widget, put it in a different class, and somehow link two classes, the class for UI with the class of logic together, so that they are binded together. So this is the concept of state management. And how you do it, there are many ways. And we cannot say that one way is the best, the other way is not the good one, but there are different approaches. And you can see here, so many ones are supported by Flutter. So to start with, go through provider, go through their this example slowly, one by one, and it will make things very clear, like what they are doing. Is it clear? Like, does it answer your question?
Almost, yes. I have two questions. First, do we need only one provider?
Oh, okay. You can use multiple provider for there is a way to use multiple provider for the same widget or same stateful class, stateful widget. You can use multiple, but in most cases you will need one. You will need one.
Is it because each one have different uses or similar use?
No, actually, what is the concept is, like, it's like a framework. These state management, like, these are like frameworks. Frameworks means they tell you, use this package and arrange your code like this, so we will connect this class with this class, something like this. So what you tell, by using provider, you need to use, if you're using provider, you need to use provider package. Provider package, it is, see, one of the Flutter favorite. It's one of the very useful package. And let me show you one of the easy code. If not, maybe I can show you from my code. I don't see here a good example here. They have snippets, code snippets, but uh, not very useful. Yeah, like, see here, I told you multi-provider. You can use multiple provider when you create like a particular UI. You can give him multiple provider, like it provides services, something. So multiple provider, but it's a rare case. I once needed one multiple provider, but it didn't work as I wanted, so I dropped it. So there are features, but okay, let me show you from one of my code. So to give you like a just a very quick understanding, like it's like you are telling that I have this controller, and it is a consumer of what, of this UI. So something like this. So when you say consumer consumer of type this, of for this UI. So this UI, if you want to refresh him, you can call it from this controller. This controller, whenever inside that, he will say notify listener, he will refresh this part only. He will not call build. He will refresh this part. Do you get the point? So this is a kind of like framework of rearranging the code, like joining between UI and the controller. It needs time to explain actually how it works, but I'm just trying to give you an idea. So I will take a break now, inshallah, for salat, and we'll come back after 10 to 12 minutes, inshallah.